Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this first talk on day 2. Just a general announcement. You have the ability to give feedback to this talk, to every talk yesterday, and every talk yet is about to come. Just go to the schedule online, to the detail page of maybe this talk or every other talk, and click on this feedback link, and then there's an anonymous questionnaire just to give you the ability to give feedback. Use it. The speakers and everybody organizing this event will be grateful. Thank you. And now to this first talk on day 2. Well, this talk will be about some future possibilities. What if there's no privacy anymore? What can be done? How should anyone feel? What should anybody do? And our speaker is Plom Lom Pom, and he is personally interested in the future. And well, welcome him. Give him some applause.
Thank you, and thanks for this nice introduction. So I'm talking about embracing post-privacy, and I want to give some optimism towards a future where there is nothing to hide. The reason is that maybe you remember John Gilmore's keynote yesterday, where he said that it's important that we develop new ideas of how to deal with the developments concerning privacy. And so I hope to shake up a little the way we think about things like identity and freedom in relation to this thing, privacy, by maybe offering some new views and by speculating a little about how the world might change and how things like freedom, identity, and so on might change in a world where privacy is going down. So to give you a little overview about the structure of the talk, I start pessimistically by describing how privacy is ending. Then, when privacy is something that has been once and is something as a matter of history, then through that perspective I want to look at what it meant, this thing, privacy, and historically. And then, with privacy lost, but still a future to come, I want to speculate a little about what such a future could look like. And we are all familiar with post-privacy dystopias, like, for example, George Orwell's 1984. But because I like to live in a happy future, I also want to develop some utopias, or at least offer some ideas to throw into the room to think about and discuss. So that's the third part. Then I'll offer one slide with some reading recommendations that influenced me a little. And then, if time is still left, I hope we can have a little discussion. So, you read 1984 when you were a child, and you always hoped that this would never happen, and then suddenly you wake up to find out, well, we live in a world where privacy is ending, and where, for example, surveillance becomes more and more ubiquitous, and you start to worry. And you find out that, unfortunately, privacy is doomed. There's this huge privacy-eating monster, a huge global information machinery that consists of surveillance cameras, the internet, and so on. A huge information machinery that eats information, that incorporates information and takes it away from you, and thereby takes away from you privacy. And the problem with this information machinery is that the better it is fed, the greater its stomach grows, and the more hungry it becomes. So it never stops eating more and more privacy away from you. The more it is eating, the more it is growing. It becomes, for example, more ubiquitous. In the past, you only had relatively few interfaces through which you could lose information to this information machinery. You had, for example, your desktop PC at home or at work. Now you have your mobile phones, you have sensors everywhere, you have RFID chips, and so on, all mechanisms to collect information about you. the privacy-eating monster also becomes more and more attractive. That is, for example, in the past it was a little unattractive for most people to put information on the internet, but in the age of Web 2.0, for example, it becomes very easy, for example, to blog, to upload media and so on, and it becomes more sexy, more attractive, everything is in nice colors, has round edges and so on, and you start less and less to worry about that you are putting stuff on the internet. And this privacy-eating monster is becoming more and more intelligent. That is, better and better algorithms are developed to, for example, extract information from raw data. And better algorithms also mean that there's more and more value to collecting more and more data, to collect more and more information from that data. And the problem is with this privacy-eating monster, once information is in it, it cannot be removed. If you put stuff on the internet, it's there and it becomes difficult to delete it again. You can put it into a semi-public area, but the chances are good that it will become public one day, or at least will stay in the semi-public area for a very long time. And you're never sure if maybe not someone will steal the data and collect it for the privacy-eating monster. So this is the one actor in this game, and then we have the other actor, that is the privacy-defending army. And if we are for privacy, we would hope that they would be victorious. But unfortunately, their weapons, one can argue about the efficiency of the weapons. Laws are ineffective. National laws cannot deal with the international nature of cyberspace, and international laws suffer from slow bureaucracy that cannot react as quickly as the machinery grows and grows. And technology is insecure, as we learn every day, for example, if we go to this Congress, where it is again and again shown how technology that we hope would enhance our privacy can be made insecure, can be broken, and so on. So, for example, you might have the best encryption algorithm, but you're never sure. Maybe Moore's law will defeat it one day, or maybe some smart mathematician will come up with an idea to beat it that you had not foreseen. Also, the new generation seems to care less and less about this old thing, privacy. They grow up in social networks where they learn that it's cool to put their information online for many people to see and to interact in ways that are very much informational exhibitionism. And the older generation that still values privacy more, of course, becomes less and less important in the battle. So, from the side of the army, it's an uneven battle because it cannot be won ultimately. You can never defend privacy with certainty forever because there's always a chance that it will be broken, and you're never sure that it will be secure forever. And on the other hand, this battle can be lost very easily. That is, you only have to do not enough right now to lose privacy. And since we learned this privacy-eating monster eats information and never gives it away again, once the privacy is lost, it seems very difficult, if not impossible, to get it again. So privacy is doomed, and we can say goodbye to it, and maybe it's a sad story. But now we can look at this thing that we had in the past, privacy, and what did it mean? What did it mean for us, and what would it mean if it's lost? Well, actually, what is the meaning of privacy? Actually, people started thinking about the meaning of privacy for only very recently in the way that, in the modern meaning. So privacy came into its puberty maybe at the end of the 19th century and grew up in the 20th century. And the core idea maybe of privacy is self-determination. That is, we want to make sure that people have the freedom to make their own decisions about a personal area of their life, free from interference by others, like, for example, the state or people they don't know, outside world. And so this is a very practical definition of privacy. That's basically equivalent to saying we value personal freedom. So, for example, in the US, the right to abortion was decided by the Supreme Court as something that is protected by privacy, because the decision of a woman to abort her child is something that's her personal choice, and that's not a matter of the state. But for example, at a place like the Congress, the other important attribute of privacy that we take into consideration and that may be important for the self-determination thing is information control. That is, we want to control what information flows from us to others, what others know about us, because the idea is that knowledge is power, and knowledge about my personal matters, therefore, is in a way an inappropriate power about my personal matters. And also the control that flows from others to me. That is, for example, if you are in your private space, you don't want to have certain information intrude on you. For example, someone calling you and trying to sell you something or so, or people telling you too much about their private lives. That we also consider a breach of privacy in a certain way. And then, of course, a third important attribute of privacy is intimacy, which can be defined very easily as sharing of privacy. That is, we decide that with some people we interact more closely in information flow, and we have a trust for them, so we tell them a little more about us and about our personal life than we would tell others. And we also maybe allow them to meddle a little more into our personal affairs than we would allow others. So that's some abstract theoretical ideas about what privacy was. Let's look at some historical examples. I think what one can take very easily as one good traditional space of privacy is your home with your family. That's a kind of intimate space. It's a shared privacy. And some other examples, I give you some other examples, but the important thing is that mostly we talk about spaces of privacy, which are distinguished from spaces which are not private, which are public. And some examples, private spaces would also be, for example, a back room in a coffee house, where you can hide some things and people can go and only certain people can go, but not all the people who visit the coffee house. Or, for example, your home PC with all your porn on it, or your head brain with your thoughts that hopefully no telepath can ever intrude on. Whereas in the public spaces you have, for example, forums, parliaments, newspapers, /dot. And the distinguishing thing is that the one thing is hidden, or has a space that is hidden from outside view, whereas the public space is visible from outside view. So what value does that provide to things like, for example, freedom? Well, the first idea that comes to mind is the private space seems to be secure from scrutiny of outside norms, of social norms, whereas the public space is accountable to these very same social norms. So you might have the idea, in the private space, I have a certain freedom that I do not have in the public space. I can do stuff, for example, I can enjoy my tentacle porn in the private space, but I cannot enjoy it in the public space because there it would enrage some people who do not like tentacle porn. So it would be easy to assume, well, someone is a free individual in the private space, whereas he is a controlled conformist in the public space. So that's a very easy dichotomy. But I don't think it's 100% true. So, for example, look historically at what kinds of persons belonged to the private household and what kinds of persons belong to the public. You have this division, for example. Traditionally, the wife should stay at home and there, in a way, stay in privacy, whereas the man lives in public and the political sphere and so on. So would you say that the woman is really the person who enjoys more freedom than the man? Maybe not. So maybe it's not so easy to just say private space is a space of freedom where you can do everything, whereas the public you are controlled and have no possibilities to live a free life. But I think another important aspect of privacy that can come through is that private space is very often somewhat isolated. There's only a small space where you can do only certain things. You can do these certain things very freely, but there are other things that you can do only in the interconnectedness of a public space. For example, enjoy some things that you can only enjoy in the communication with many people. So another, I think, interesting example to shake up a little common assumptions about the